Joseph.
Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
You say from Shakespeare, hail, fellow, well met.
Ah. This is a moment of inspiration.
Yes.
A moment of bringing inspiration, matter and movement together. The presence of the breath, matter and movement together. And I think it's wonderful. Each moment has that potential. And we're made of potential, so it's
That's right.
it's lovely to know that that we're in the dynamics of being.
It's incredible how the old, I can call yours the old traditions, resonate so much with new traditions. And when they get to this question of what is at the heart of being, like Martin Heidegger would say, man is the question of being, from the European tradition. Yes. And you speak in almost the same way.
Yes. Well,
you almost might, you would say, man is the quest of being.
That's right. The quest of being and the quest of being is in the land and sky, and it's the nature of how spirit is speaking, and how that reconciliation is occurring between spirit and nature. It's totally fascinating, because every moment is an opportunity to perceive that interaction.
I was wondering, just when we began, and I'm realizing we were coming together, even though we've spoken before during today. Yeah. There's one moment again, there's this moment of kind of like, of tension, and suddenly energy goes up, because it's something that I think men give each other, a kind of challenge. I look in your eyes and I feel this sense of challenge.
Yes.
You know things I never know,
Yes.
And
yes.
That's a nice, I feel nothing in front of you.
That's right. And it's a tension, if we could gauge it and go, it's a tension number, a 10, and then it slowly comes down to a 9 and an 8 and a 7 and a 6 and a 5, and then finally you have the action. That tension is the beginning of that dialogue.
Beginning, yes. And I think it has to be born with it. For me, it's a very precious kind of experience, because when it comes, it's like a sound, and announcing.
Yes.
It's like a call. Hearken.
That's right. You almost have to disappear. You disappear into that moment, into that sound, into that reverence, into that devotion, and then we become the state of the art.
The state of the art. I love it. I just saw another analogy. In the tradition of the Kabbalists in Judaism, when they have this study of the language and the study of the characters, and they look at it. And I remember being told once that the profound way is not to look at the characters, but look at the spaces between the characters. And I felt that, say between the two people meet, and there is this space between which is full of wonders.
Exactly, and that's right. That's a very beautiful interpretation you're making, because to connect to beingness is to go beyond the mode of thinking. Is to go beyond thinking. And as we go beyond thinking, that very nature of that emptiness fills that space of thought and revelation, and then brings it forth into universal intelligence.
I have to say that more about thinking, because thinking is one of my things, so to speak.
Sure.
I feel I've done a lot of it in my time, and try to. Has there been kind of great illumination from an English mathematician? That was Spencer Brown, who wrote this book, Laws of Form, which became popular years ago. And he said, when I do mathematics, I never think.
Wonderful.
If I think I cannot do really creative mathematics. And it taught me that all people who do authentic things, they do not do the thinking.
No.
They enable the thinking to be done in them.
Exactly.
Isn't it so?
Yes, it's a form of disappearing. A form of disappearing.
So from my tradition, you know, the tradition I work in, the Gurdjieff Bennett tradition, some things have got misunderstood about this. As Gurdjieff would say, first you have to realize your nothingness and your helplessness before you can begin. And people take this in a negative way. They think they have to be miserable and think, I'm so inadequate and empty and stupid. And that's nothing. It's not nothingness. Nothingness is joyful. Is this opening.
That's right.
And unless you get to that, being able to evacuate yourself of everything, you cannot begin.
That's right. And the reason that we cannot begin is because we're still caught in the form. But once we go to the formless, then you have what I refer to as the heaven and earth fuses with the heart. That is the central of realization. And at that point, purity connects to beauty, and beauty then bonds with what I call friendship, or a state of unconditional love. And it's that moment then that makes it real.
I very much like this theme, one of the themes of friendship, because from where I came, being very, very cerebral, learning mathematics and physics and loving these things very much. It wasn't just I had no wish to use them for manipulation or power.
You almost have to fall in love, don't you?
Yes.
You have to fall in love with your work, with what you're doing, and then that feeds you to a higher excellence.
That's right.
That's right.
So then, then when I encounter people now who struggle with ideas or teachings, and I see them make friends with the ideas.
Yes.
Unless you're your friends, you will never come to understand anything.
That's right.
They take it in this heavy, dead way, as if they turn them into things of death. And how can you be friends with things of death? That is, things which are like the dead butterfly pinned down, so it's still and labeled. And think, that is understanding. That's the ordinary idea of understanding.
Right.
Because I can tell you its label. And it stays still, and it's always the same. Therefore, I understand it. But the reality is the other. The other way, I would say to people, let's take the word understanding. It means to stand under.
That's right.
Not to stand on top.
That's right. Stand under.
So the ability is to put oneself under the reality.
That's right.
Not make the reality your size.
That's right.
And bring it down to an artificial and limited model.
Right. It's an explanation of that might be that the earth does not belong to us. No. We belong to the earth.
Yay.
And so we have to be underneath.
Underneath. True. That would constitute a major revolution, I think, worldwide in our thinking.
I think so too. One of the discoveries that I made was right within the English language. We use a lot of words like understanding and other ideas that we haven't realized, but we will, I'm sure, in the future, and we'll see that it was there in the language all the time. We just didn't get it.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. That was one of the threads that my first teacher, was actually in physics, that was David Bohm. He wasn't only a teacher in physics, but also of general inquiry into everything. He was a wonderful man, wonderful man. And he would take words in the English language and go into them. And it was like one could go on into them and into them and into them and into them. We were recently reading one of his wonderful interpretations was about the word subtle.